I swung a sword. I swung a sword again. Hey, I swung it again. That's great.
What's up guys, Deroir here with another episode of Hype Time. Last time I went through a broader variety of things that were announced at PAX. This time I'll be talking and speculating about a few things that I believe we might see in Heart of Thorns. Specifically the so-called hard content that was announced to be a big part in Heart of Thorns. Now most of this video will probably contain a lot of wishful thinking, but we might as well stay positive till the facts are straight. Those of you who have followed me for a while now know that my main focus lies in the challenge. And it only helps knowing that completing the challenge is actually worth it. Unfortunately, most of the content we have in Guild Wars 2 right now does not really live up to this. There are of course many directions where we could point fingers at the current system. And I'm sure ArenaNet knows this. I mean, just take a look at some of the things introduced in the Living Story in Season 2. Like the improved reward system in the Silver Wastes. Or the completely new boss and creature mechanics that have been slowly introduced to us. And though these features are welcomed, it's still not enough of a challenge. It unfortunately seems like most of the content in the Living Story has been created with the mindset that everyone needs to be able to complete it. In an interview after the official announcement, Colin actually said that we know that Guild Wars 2 needs more challenging encounters and more challenging group encounters, and it needs extremely challenging encounters for groups to build up to and defeat. We're going to be providing all of that with our Heart of Thorns experience. But then again, Mike O'Brien goes on to elaborate this by saying that we've been developing content, but we haven't been saying that it's the ultimate group challenge. I think that's something Guild Wars 2 needs and hasn't had. Heart of Thorns is laying the groundwork so we really can bring ultimate challenges to the game. I'm afraid they might shy away from going all in due to them not trusting the players to be actually able to complete their content, like they imagined with the Triple Trouble Worm. If we want challenging content, we as well as ArenaNet needs to eradicate the notion that everyone is entitled to everything. Now, to combat this thought, ArenaNet has come up with a unique incentive: the Mastery System. The Mastery System is really our answer to our players' feedback from the launch of the game that they wanted more meaningful challenges and more meaningful progression in Guild Wars 2. Now, by completing challenges, stories, and discovering new areas, our accounts will have access to more and more of these mastery points. The most interesting thing to note here is that completing said challenges won't just give you a couple of achievement points, another ascended trinket, or shoulder skin you'll never use. These points will essentially open up new challenges, areas, and content for you to play. And so with the incentive in place to actually gain content progression, the question is now, will the challenges actually be hard enough that not every player will have access to them immediately? And thereby essentially leaving my former argument invalid. About 4 months ago, we got news that Dave Mark, the leader and founder of Intrinsic Algorithm, who specialized in artificial intelligence design and programming, had been working for 5 months on something special. And along with the expansion announcement, Dave actually went out and revealed that the work that he'd been working on for 9 months now would be in Heart of Thorns. We're talking top-notch AI experts working on improving the gameplay experience for us, which hopefully will let us do something else than stack and smack. Now let's step back a bit. The current trailer we have does not show much, but it does give hints as to what we might expect. My first example here is going to be these flying dragon type creatures that spew fire everywhere. Now where have we seen these mechanics before? This guy. The flying pterographs from the Living Story have similar flying patterns. I love that fight, completely out of the ordinary for Guild Wars 2. This fight got everyone out of the stack and smack mentality for the majority of the fight and put focus into staying alive by keeping your distance. The second boss type creature we see in the trailer is this huge hammer guy with his pet monster by his side. And immediately my thought was Slick and Sparky. You know, the first boss in Twilight Aether Path. The Pug Slayers? No? Well, you've probably not played that path in quite a while, since the prospect of dealing with pugs for an hour or two just to have a precursor's chance at a special skin just isn't worth it. Now, the biggest problem with the Instance Living Story boss fights has always been the lack of punishment for failing. I mean, even dungeon bosses reset their health when you get wiped. Why wouldn't they at least include that? Now you may ask, well, why do we need punishment in the game? It's simple really. Punishing content with fitting rewards incentivize a positive learning curve. There's a reason why Tequatl the Marionette and the Triple Trouble Worm got so much attention to begin with. Failing was a major part of the learning curve. And if we wanted all that new cool loot, we had to learn how to defeat them. Now, the Triple Trouble Worm is perhaps a bad example for a lasting challenge, as the rewards do not actually complement the actual effort you put into learning the mechanics, unless you really want to look like you just farted. But that's for another time. I stand by that going for all 3 achievements alone in some of the living story instances hasn't been easy. But why wouldn't most people do all in one go if not for the challenge, since you have the option of taking the easy way out? Now, I won't be calling out raids as my first thought to solving the problem of challenging content, since ArenaNet seemed quite confident with their raid-like content in the open world. And honestly, I don't mind them sticking to the gameplay styles that they already have in-game. The mega bosses, dungeons, fractals, and the living story instances. They just need to put in more focus to improve them and make them more challenging. All I really want to be included in Heart of Thorns is some new AI for every single creature and every single boss fight. We've had our easy times with the stack and smack philosophy. Perhaps it's time to get out of the corner. I strongly believe that ArenaNet and Dave Mark will deliver with a whole new level of challenging content. Perhaps not the ultimate challenge, but a step in the right direction. So I'll leave you guys with this question. Do you believe that we'll be getting actual hard content that will be worth playing and replaying? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, I will see you in the mists.
And how about you? What do you think Heart of Thorns is?
PvE that's not going to be terrible.